Hi, welcome back to the teeny tiny kitchen. I'm making fudge today. Ooh. Yeah, it's my brother-in-law's 40th birthday today. Happy birthday to you, Jeremy. And his favourite thing is fudge, so I will be making him fudge. What you are going to need, annoyingly, is one of these babies. Sugar thermometer. You can do it without a sugar thermometer. So what you'd need to do is get a bowl of ice cold water and keep it next to the stove when you're making the fudge, and that way you can check to see if it's ready or not. But I do use the sugar thermometer just because I like the sciencey part. Okay, so first thing I'm going to do is throw some things on the floor. I'm going to butter my container. So I'm just going to grab a bit of butter. I'm using a square container, and I'm using one of these silicone ones purely because it's so much easier once the fudge is cooled and set just to turn it out. But obviously just use any container that you have, any tin, and just make sure it's really well buttered and lined, just to make sure the fudge doesn't stick. So I'm just going to quickly rub that in there. So this recipe really uses very few ingredients. You've got some sugar, you've got some butter, you've got some evaporated milk, and you've got some vanilla. So we've got 500 grams of caster sugar. We have got 50 grams of butter, unsalted butter, and 100 mils of evaporated milk. And then we're going to use 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract. So I've got my pan here. I've got it started warming it up already, purely because this one takes a while to heat up. But what you need is a large heavy based saucepan, or stock pot, as I've got, just to make it in. You don't want it to be kind of a flimsy saucepan because it will catch, it will burn, so we don't want that. So that's starting to get hot, so I'm going to turn that up a bit. Basically you're just going to put everything in the pot. Everything goes in. So in goes the sugar, in goes my evaporated milk, and in goes my butter. So what we're going to do basically is we're going to bring those ingredients to the boil, and we are just going to boil them until they reach 115 degrees C on your sugar thermometer, which is, let's see, it's just after the jam stage and before the firm ball stage. I don't know if you can see that. So yeah, 115 degrees. Or if you're not using a sugar thermometer and you've got your ice cold thing of water next to you, if you just periodically take out little bits of the fudge and drop it into the water, if it holds its shape, it's ready. This should take about sort of between 5 and 15 minutes for it all to kind of get to where you want it to be. Now I'm just gonna give this a good stir. You shouldn't really stir sugar when it's hot, but I'm just stirring this in because I probably should have cut the butter up a little bit more, but never mind. We'll let that melt in. You do want to, as it starts heating, you do want to stir it occasionally, because otherwise you do run the risk of it sticking. You don't want it to catch. So do keep your eye on it and sort of stir it occasionally. So I'm just gonna keep stirring. Get this butter to melt down. It's quite a large lump of butter there. Let's get that to melt a bit. Such a beautiful colour. Looks a little bit like wet sand. That's partly because I've used golden caster sugar here rather than white caster sugar, but you can use white caster sugar. There's no no problem with that at all. So I'm just waiting for this to come up to the boil. Once it is boiling, you are going to want to turn it down a little. You don't want it to be on a fierce rolling boil for the whole 15 minutes, because it will burn. So you want to turn it down to a gentle boil, and then just keep your eye on it. This is starting to come to a boil now, getting the little bubbles. Perfect, so I'm going to turn that down and start giving it a mix. Right down. I'm actually going to take one off the heat for a bit because it's getting a little bit over hot, and obviously that will then cause it to burn, which we don't want. No one wants burnt flecks in their fudge. Also, this stock pot I'm using really hangs on to the heat, so it makes it a little bit easier. I'm just going to check, see where we are temperature wise. Okay, that's up to 60 degrees already. I'm going to shake that off. Put that in there. Right, I'm going to get it back on the heat now. Give it a good stir. You should see as you start going through the process and you start stirring, you'll see it start to thicken up, and that's exactly what you want. You want it to start getting thick, because if it doesn't get thick, it's not going to set. It's quite mesmerising actually, watching all the bubbles come up. If you ever make this, just be careful, because literally I'm just sitting there going, oh, look at the bubbles. Very mesmerising. It's really, really boiling now, and it's starting to thicken up nicely. So I'm just going to check the temperature again. Now, if you've got a bigger pot, these actually clip onto the sides of pots. They're designed to clip onto the side of a jam pot, basically. But because my pot is quite small, I'm having to take it in and out, which is slightly frustrating. Put that back in there for now. So I'm going to try and see if I can show you what this looks as boiling hot. Don't know if you can see that. I'm trying not to tip it out everywhere, so you can get an idea of the colour. I'll just give you an idea of the ice water trick. I'm just going to fill up a glass of water. Now my kitchen's very cold, and so it might work okay, but it should really be ice water. So I'm just going to grab a spoon, and then all you need to do is you grab, obviously being careful not to burn yourself, grab a little bit, and then you just plunk it into the water. Now it's actually quite close to being ready because, as you can see, it's holding its shape as it goes in. I don't know if you can see that. Looks a bit gross, doesn't it? I'm just going to get the sugar thermometer out again just to see where we are with that. Yeah, we're definitely getting there. Alright, we're at 100. Oh, we're so close. Very close. I'm actually just going to leave that in there for a second. Let's give this a stir. Let's give this trick another go. Yeah, I think we're pretty much there. Yep, we're at 110. 110, I want 115. Silly Billy. Not quite then. Should be 115 degrees, not 110. Apologies. Excuse me with my random bit of hair that keeps getting in my face. So the very last part of this, and you are going to have serious arm muscles after this, is that you have to beat in the vanilla extract and you have to keep beating until it gets really, really thick. We are there. We are there. A bit boring, isn't it? Watching me just stand there watching a sugar thermometer. Slightly boring. Hey ho. Okay, so I'm going to take this off the heat completely. Switch that off so I don't set fire to myself. And we're going to grab our vanilla, and it's a teaspoon of vanilla. I'm going to find my jelly spoons. And throw them on the floor. Okay. There we go, 1 teaspoon. It will sizzle. There goes the sizzle. Basically just mix now. So you basically, it needs to become really thick and really creamy in texture. You might feel it starting to get grainy as it starts to cool down. That's okay. Oh, my arm hurts. Yeah, I think we're pretty much there. That's beautiful. Look at that. Oh. Okay, so we're now going to pour that into our prepared tray. I'm just doing it from a little bit of a height just to let the kind of the cold air get into it, just help it set quicker. Scrape. Oh, this is a little bit awkward, a little bit heavy. Try not to get it on your fingers at this stage because it will burn. Going to try and smooth that out a little. And another spoon and just scrape off the excess there. See if I can get any more out of here without burning myself. So you see as it starts to cool, it's really starting to set. And it is very much like wet sand. I might also suggest soaking your pan after you've completed your fudge making. Okay, I'm just going to pat that down a bit. That's pretty much it. So once you've got that lovely mix here, it's really difficult for me to show you on camera. It looks a little bit like cat sick, doesn't it? Delicious. You just need to leave it to cool. That's it. Leave it to cool. Then turn it out, cut it up into little squares, shove in your face. Easy peasy. That's it for today. I hope you enjoyed. It was a very quick little tutorial today. Probably a little bit boring just watching me stir, but have a go at making fudge. It is super easy. It's super tasty. And who doesn't love fudge? Seriously. Yeah. So thanks for watching. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe, and I will see you next time.